Hi, my name is Alex Askew, Chef Alex Askew, and welcome to Stirring the Pot in Under 10 Minutes. We've got a two-part series with one of our most important advocate supporters, Chef Aundré. And let me just tell you a little bit about him, and he's going to get into his own personal mission statement. But Chef Aundré is originally from Louisville, Kentucky. We never had a conversation about bourbon, but I'm sure there's a couple of conversations there.
Right.
And he's going to tell you where he currently resides. We're going to keep that for our second part of our series. But Chef is an entrepreneur, a venture capitalist, over 25 years of experience in the food service, beauty industry, and entertainment industry. And he's also a partner and chairman in several businesses and nonprofits. And he lives by, and check this out, he lives by these four important principles: discipline, consistency, knowledge, and skill. And he believes with those four principles, you can master anything in life. Welcome, Chef Aundré. Thank you for being part of Stirring the Pot, conversations around food, race, and social justice. And so let me just get right into it. Tell us about your personal mission statement.
What's going on, Chef Alex? Pleasure to be here on Stirring the Pot. So, I'll get right to it. One of the simplest things in my personal mission statement and goal that I have is to teach generational wealth to my people. It's one of those aspects of life that we have not been taught as a people here, at least in the United States, from our ancestors being slaves until now. We weren't taught generational wealth. We were taught generational work is what I call it. And so wealth isn't just monetary, it's also health. As you know, our people as well, people of color here in the United States, we just have not had the greatest diet stemming all the way back to slavery again. And so the generational wealth is more than the money. It's also the health and wellness of yourself, because in all actuality, health is wealth. The healthier you are, Steve Jobs is one of the people said it best. If you ever get a chance to read what he talked about before he passed away, he was like, all this money that I have can't take this sickness away, and it's not bringing me the happiness that I expected it to, and so we've got to be able to teach that it's more than just the money, it's also the health. So that's my personal thing, twofold: generational wealth and health.
That's powerful and very timely. So let me ask you this other question. We live in a very societal charged environment right now. We're both chefs. We both see the impact of the lack of access and the effects of a food system not working for everyone. All that said, why food, race, and social justice now? Why now?
The biggest thing with it being right now, we're in a critical phase in this country and in the world, and we're seeing some things that are unprecedented that's happening. Social injustice is being seen by more than just the people here in the United States. The world is recognizing it. Even back in the day with the civil rights movement and things that were going on, television and broadcasting, you didn't get to see almost everything. Now the world gets to see almost everything. So this is a critical opportunity for us to grasp true change to happen, to put our input into something, actually have it heard, and have a little bit more faith in the fact that it may just change, especially in food service. We got food deserts, and we got places that people, they can't get fresh food, and that contributes to the social unrest that we have. Because, you don't eat right, it changes your mindset. If you can't afford to eat better, it changes your mind state. If you're living poor and penniless, it changes your mindset. And it's our opportunity now to take it by the horns, because the world is watching. And so it's a great time to really talk about social reform, social change, and how food really does affect how we think, move, and continue with our life.
Amen to that. I think you're spot on that overview and just really your observation of what's happening. You're a big advocate of BCA Global and a big advocate of our core new program that's taken the nation by charge and a lot of different spectrums, mindful eating for the beloved community. Bring it home so you can give some cliff notes to our audience of how this all ties into mindful eating for the beloved community.
Well, the biggest thing where it ties into mindful eating for the beloved community, is the community portion. A lot of times we don't speak enough in our communities with our neighbors, with one another, about, of course, food and eating. And one of the things that I thought was cool about that is that most of the time when we sit down and have conversations, we do something what you call breaking bread, right? So that means food was very critical in conversations over the table, over your neighbors, or anywhere, for generations before us. And in that breaking bread, it gives an opportunity to communicate and commune with one another. And so that makes it mindful for the beloved community. Now, the eating part, it's different because it's part of the thought process, or the pheromones, if you will, that are in the body. One of the examples I always give is, I tell people, I said, take an apple, I say, cut it into slices, bite into it, and then bite into a whole apple. See, it gives you a totally different feeling. When you get the juices to run down your face, as opposed to just putting a slice in your mouth that you cut up, it triggers different things that go on. It actually makes it more pleasant for you because it's a different experience. And because that, it helps mindful eating to get to that point of not only just eating smart for the body, but mindful eating is about eating smart for knowledge and for nutrient. It becomes spiritual. It goes into your psyche. It goes for more than just the food to actually nurturing a change, almost an awakening in the community of building something bigger than you, building your body to sustain what's coming. And in addition, really teaching people to take their minds back, in all honesty. So mindful eating, for me, knowledge, spirit, and to help your psyche and the nurturing. It's more than just the food. The food is critical because it does change how we think. It's different eating a burger than eating a carrot. But at the end of the day, mindful eating for the beloved community is about the community, and you're mindful of it, then you're getting the knowledge you need to help your community grow and aspire to be better.
Right on. That's a very important point because people don't understand that there is a chemistry or a chemical reaction every time you put something inside of your body. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of people don't understand that, in one direction that could lead to disease, and another direction that could lead to healing. And, this is getting back to our roots of connecting, family to faith, to community, to the communal table, and bringing it home so people understand that if your mind's not right, you're not going to be successful at all. And obviously in today's world, career success is in the Black and brown community is based on having your mind, or like anyone's grandma would say, get your mind right, is definitely at the heart of the matter. Well, thanks, Chef Aundré. We're going to wrap up this first part of this series, Stirring the Pot, and with our commitment of being under 10 minutes. But stay tuned for our next part 2 with Chef Aundré. And I'm just going to give a little tease. He comes from a dear part of the U.S. where they've got all things, including some of the classics of barbecue. I'm not going to give away where exactly he comes from, but I'll also tell you that he's going to paint a picture of what it's like to be on the ground where he is, and you're not going to want to miss this Stirring the Pot Part 2 series with Chef Aundré coming up real soon. Thank you, Chef.
Appreciate you, Chef.
All right, thank you. Hey everybody, welcome to Part 2 series with Chef Aundré. If you missed Part 1, please check out our recording, Stirring the Pot with Chef Aundre, Part 1 series. But now we're going to get into Part 2, and we're really excited about this part, having Chef back. And we're going to just hit the ground running. Chef, can you paint a vivid picture of where you are right now and what it's like, what it looks like, what it feels like, maybe even what it tastes like, and everything going around with the subject of COVID and Black Lives Matter? And I mean, where are you at now, and what's the deal?
Well, I'm in the stars at night, a big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. I'm in Dallas, Texas, and if you know anything about Texas, everything we do here big. You know, we don't do it small, even from the sports teams to the food. And so the culture and climate down here, with the food, it's been a little tough for restaurants, just because the governor put us down to 50%, and if you sell alcohol, you can only do to go. So the restaurant industry has got hit pretty hard. But the blessing that came out of it, some of the other industries that were up and coming or growing have become, phenomenally good, in the industry. Things like Instacart, DoorDash, a lot of these delivery services. And there's a couple of Black-owned ones here in Dallas as well. They've seen, incredible growth because, 80, I think the last number for Texas was like 72 to about 80% of Texans are at home. Either from, being quarantined or actually working. We only have maybe about 20 plus of essential workers. So just imagine, you being a startup business and this happens and everybody's like, oh my God, COVID is such a tough thing, so difficult for 2020. And then I just see other people that are, thriving. I've said this when COVID started. I said, this is going to be the year where most millionaires are made, because people have to think differently because they're home. They have to eat differently because, their finances and their money has changed. People are spending more time at home, with their kids, with their spouses, getting to know their neighbors. I know here in Dallas, just in my community, every day I see at least 2 or 3 homes where they're sitting, 6 feet apart, but they're like circled up in chairs, talking and conversing. And it's multiple nationalities, which I thought was cool because I live in a predominantly white neighborhood here in Dallas. And it was nice to come outside and be invited by a neighbor, been my neighbor, 6-7 months, and actually be invited to sit down and have a conversation. And so that leads into, the Black Lives Matter movements and all the movements that are going on, because I get to have incredible conversations with people that have different views, and it's good for myself and my family too, to get that perspective. I didn't grow up as a white kid. I didn't grow up in the suburbs. I didn't grow up as a Hispanic kid. I don't know that culture except what is pumped through me through social media and TV and, the few friends that I have. So to sit down and have those conversations, it's been great for change for our community, because on one hand, you don't realize how, I hate to use the word racist, but you realize how racist you are in your thought process of someone you never sat down and talked to and met. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the biggest problems, that people automatically associate a person with a certain way, just like, I know for me, Black man in the neighborhood, when I see the police, I have a certain thing in my mind, like, please don't pull me over. Please don't bother me. Let me keep going. And it's bad because I got a brother that's on the police force. And he tells me all the time, he said, why do you do that for every officer? I was like, we grew up together. What do you mean? You just happen to become an officer now. Mm-hmm. So, it's definitely been great. The climate's been great here in Texas. Like I said, a little slow on the food part, but other businesses are picking up. And it's been a great time to really preach that generational wealth to people, because you got to get pretty creative, because unemployment don't pay a lot for these people. So you got to get really creative and put that sense of belief in them to continue to keep going and continue to still make the ends meet, if you will, at this critical time. So it's been decent here in Texas. We finally got COVID under control in Dallas, at least.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good to hear. And you brought up a really good point about having these conversations, the beloved community aspect of the Mindful Eating for the Beloved Community program is really based on, Martin Luther King Jr.'s work 50 years ago of bringing around, bringing everyone and coalescing everyone to have the conversation about, racial inequality, about these subjects. And so it's not a black or brown or white thing. It's a black, brown, and white thing, where we all need to be comfortable enough to have these conversations. And breaking bread is a good way. Sharing a mindful meal is a good way to have those conversations that are the most uncomfortable. Let me ask you this, Chef. As we wrap up part 2 of this really dynamic episode, and thank you again for participating and stirring the pot under 10 minutes. What is your secret sauce? You sound like a black man of wisdom. You've been around the block a few times. You see things from a macro level. You're not looking at the dots, the dots on a picture, but you're taking 2 steps back and looking at the whole picture. What's your secret sauce that you could tell our audience of how we drive through today and get to tomorrow and are healthy and whole and successful?
You know what? That is a great question, Chef. It's twofold. So I'm gonna try to put this in the shortest form possible. Of course, my 4 core principles is discipline, consistency, knowledge, and skill. I truly believe that if you master those 4 R's, there's nothing in life that you can't overcome. Because if you got the discipline to get it done, if you've got the consistency in doing it, because a lot of people aren't consistent. They'll have the discipline to do it, but what happens is they'll skip a day or 2 days, just like working out, just like eating healthy, just like loving on your spouse, just like disciplining your kids. It's all the same thing. And then you master the art of knowledge. Having the knowledge isn't the important part. It's applied knowledge is really true. For years we've been taught that, knowledge is power. And I tell people, I said, knowledge isn't power if you don't use it. I said, it's used knowledge that is actually powerful. And then skill. Skill is basically the ability to be adaptable and put into practice what you learn from the first 3. And when you get skillful at it, us as chefs, we only got skillful because we went through the mud and, in all kind of restaurants and all kind of resorts and opening our own businesses and things of that nature. So to get through this, as subparticles to those 4 core principles is meditation, prayer, communication, and change. Meditation, of course, is listening to God. It's when you shut up and don't ask questions and you actually listen to the answers that he's given you and give you incredible insight as a man of faith. I use that pretty regularly because I was always taught to pray, but I never was taught to really listen. Most of the time you pray and you ask, you say thank you, then you're done. And people say, well, I don't hear from God. I said, well, it's because you don't meditate and take that time to empty yourself to hear the answers to your prayers, which leads me to the second part, praying. I have a 3-step process in praying. First, you give thank you to your supreme creator, and then the second one, you ask for what you want because you have not because you ask not. So ask for what you want. If you want to see change, ask for it. If you want better health, ask for it. If you want direction, ask for it. And then close out the prayer, you say thank you again. Then communication. In this day and time that we're in now, people of all colors, the biggest problem is there's not enough people that are effective communicators to the people that are closest to them in proximity. We have a lot of orators in politics that can say it to a television or read from a teleprompter, but the real change starts in your community, communicating with the person across the street, the person next door, the person 2 doors down that doesn't look like you, sound like you, eat the kind of food, or even have the upbringing that you have, that there's going to be true change because putting those minds together to talk, you can see the difference in, eating habits. You can see the difference in how they view the police. Some people say defund the police. Some people say don't defund the police because we're going to have anarchy. But you don't know that if you don't get a chance to go out to your community and communicate with them. And last, being open to change. Once you have that communication, don't be so dead set on your view only. You have to be open to other views because they see the world differently. Everybody doesn't hate the police. Everybody don't despise the police, or everybody don't despise politicians. My perfect example right now is that as much as there's bad press about, our current president, Donald Trump, there's a lot of people that still like him, and you have to respect their opinion because we can't change if we don't respect their opinion. I didn't say we had to agree. Don't get that twisted. I didn't say we had to agree, but you do have to respect it and take it into perspective in order to make this change. So if we really want to change this climate, getting into this community and changing the mindset, increasing the knowledge, the skill, the discipline, the consistency in it will definitely take us to the next level as far as true change and true reform.
Wow, that was really, really powerful, Chef. Thank you so much. I mean, you're really speaking about, changing the dynamics of not only how we communicate, but the dynamics of uplifting the community with just, doing it from a perspective of, let's start out with respecting each other's opinions. Really great point. We don't have to agree, but we have to come from a respectful point of view so that we can start to have a conversation. Mm-hmm. So that's part of it. And then, obviously we know that, rioting is the voice of the unheard. So we,
yes.
We want to make sure that, rioting comes in all different forms, and it stems from people not being listened to. And so that's definitely a good core context of what we're trying to do together in our movement and what you're trying to do in supporting the movement and doing it locally in Dallas, Texas. So Chef Aundre, thank you so much for being part of this episode 1, Stirring the Pot in under 10 minutes. We appreciate you. We appreciate all your work and all your wisdom. And everyone, stay tuned to our next episode. It only gets better and better. Chef Aundre is kicking it off, and this will be going on every month with someone sensational that really will chime in to making a difference. Not talking about the problem, but saying, hey, this is how we move from point A to point B. And just remember, if we want to get somewhere fast, we walk alone. If we want to get somewhere far, we walk together. Hey, Chef Aundre, if our audience wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way? How do they hit you up on social media?
I have quite a few social media platforms, but the most popular one, of course, is Instagram right now. It's at Chef Dre Blast at BlastJ69. My company website is HCDFW, Heavenly Catering, DFW on there, and B Game Coaching. These are all on Instagram, Facebook, and my LinkedIn page is my full name, Aundre Blasingame, to find me on there. So those are my social media links. And look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Chef. And everyone who's interested in BCA Global, well, that's our website, BCAGlobal.org. That's BCAGLOBAL.org. This is Chef Alex Askew signing off for now.